Hello everyone, and welcome back. Rose, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss another heartfelt story. Two Hearts tonight, we're diving into a powerful love story, one filled with chance encounters, emotional twists, heartbreak, and the kind of romance that takes your breath away. It's a journey of two souls colliding when they least expected it, proving that love often finds us in the most unexpected ways. So sit back, relax, and let's begin. Emma had always believed that love was meant to hurt. It wasn't a belief she carried lightly, it was carved into her heart like scars that refused to fade. Years of failed relationships had taught her to expect disappointment. Promises had been broken like fragile glass, and trust had been shattered so many times she no longer recognized its shape. She had once stood in the rain, waiting for someone who never came, feeling the cold seep into her bones as she realized she was utterly alone. That night, she told herself she would never again give her heart away so recklessly. Since then, Emma had built a world where nothing unpredictable could hurt her. She lived above her favorite café in a modest little apartment with creaky floors and soft golden curtains that caught the sunlight in the mornings. Her days were spent working as a barista, her hands busy with grinding beans, steaming milk, and wiping counters. Her nights were quiet, filled with books stacked around her bed and the comforting hum of the city below. She told herself this was enough, calm, simple, free of chaos. And then Daniel walked in. It was a Thursday evening, and rain hammered the streets outside in silver sheets. The cafe was warm, crowded with damp coats and dripping umbrellas, the smell of roasted coffee beans filling the air. Emma stood behind the counter, her hair tied back in a messy bun, a streak of cinnamon on her cheek from the rush. The bell above the door jingled, and she glanced up. He walked in slowly, as though the storm belonged to someone else. Tall, broad-shouldered, his dark hair plastered to his forehead, a jaw shadowed with stubble. His presence seemed to ripple through the cafe. But it was his eyes that caught her breath, deep, steady, and so intense it felt like he saw everything in her at once. "Black coffee," he said simply, his voice low and rough, carrying a quiet weight that made her pulse quicken. When she handed him the cup, their fingers brushed, just a fleeting touch, but enough to spark something sharp and undeniable. He gave a faint smile, as though apologizing for the jolt between them, and carried his drink to the far corner table by the window. He sat there, watching the rain, unmoving even as the cafe buzzed with chatter around him. Emma tried to focus on her work, but her eyes kept drifting back. There was something about the way he sat, like a man waiting for something the world could no longer give him. The next day, he came back. And the day after. Always at the same time. Always at the same table. At first, their words were brief. Polite exchanges, coffee orders, casual smiles. But gradually, they began to stretch into real conversations. He asked about her favorite books. She teased him about the messy handwriting in the notebook he carried everywhere. His voice was calm, magnetic, and she found herself listening more than she spoke. His name was Daniel. He was a writer, or at least, he had been once. Now, he told her, he was trying to find words again after losing them for a long time. He spoke of places he had traveled, cities where he had written, and moments he had lived through that left marks on him. There was sadness beneath his words, but also honesty, the kind that made Emma feel seen in ways she hadn't in years. Against her will, Emma began to change. She found herself waiting for him each day, her heart skipping whenever the bell above the cafe rang. She smiled more. She laughed. Real laughter that surprised even her. And for the first time in so long, she felt alive. One night, long after closing, Daniel lingered while she cleaned. The rain outside drummed against the windows, and the cafe was empty except for the two of them. He leaned against the counter, his gaze fixed on her. Do you know why I keep coming back here? He asked softly. She froze, her cloth pausing on the table she was wiping. For coffee, she said, half teasing, half defensive. He shook his head, his lips curving faintly. No. For you. Her breath caught. She wanted to laugh it off, to shield herself, but something in his eyes stopped her. He wasn't playing. He wasn't charming. He was telling the truth. I thought I was done with love, he admitted, his voice raw. I thought nothing could surprise me anymore. But then I met you, and everything changed. Emma swallowed hard, her walls trembling. She whispered, people say things they don't mean when they're lonely. Daniel didn't argue. He simply stepped closer, his voice steady. Then let me prove I'm not like the rest. From that night, their lives intertwined. They began meeting outside the café, walks in the park, drives with no destination, hours spent under the stars, their hands brushing until they finally stayed entwined. Emma's heart, though scared, began to believe again. She felt reckless, fragile, and yet stronger than she'd ever been. Their first kiss came on a stormy night. They had run laughing through the rain, soaked to the skin, their clothes clinging to them. Daniel stopped suddenly, his hand tightening on hers. He pulled her close, his breath mingling with hers, and kissed her with a force that made the world fall away. It was fire and thunder, wild and unstoppable. Emma's knees went weak, but her heart soared. For once, she didn't think, she only felt. But love is never without shadows. One evening, Daniel didn't come. Then another. Fear not at Emma, memories of betrayal rushing back. When he finally returned, days later, his face was pale, his smile brittle. What happened? She asked, her voice sharp with worry. He hesitated, his hands trembling as he reached for hers. I haven't been honest. I was engaged once. We were supposed to marry. She left me, no explanation, nothing. Just gone. I've been carrying that pain, Emma. And I swore I'd never let myself love again. But then I met you, and now I'm terrified, because if I lose you, I don't know if I'll survive it. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She touched his cheek, her voice shaking. I know what it's like to be left behind. But I'm not her. I won't walk away. That night, they clung to each other, their kiss fierce and desperate, sealing a promise neither dared speak aloud. Their love grew stronger but also more fragile. They fought Emma's fears against Daniel's insecurities. But even in their anger, their longing pulled them back together. They were two broken souls, drawn to each other like magnets, unable to let go no matter the cost. Then came the hardest test of all. Daniel was offered a chance to publish his book abroad, a dream he had long thought dead. But it meant leaving Emma behind for months, maybe longer. I can't go, he said, his eyes fierce. Not if it means losing you. Emma's heart ached, but she shook her head. You have to. You can't give up your dream for me. I don't care about the dream, he shouted, desperation cracking his voice. I do, she whispered through tears. If you don't go, you'll resent me. And I can't bear that. Love doesn't mean holding each other back. It means setting each other free. So he left. The months apart were brutal. They survived on late-night calls, letters filled with longing, and stolen visits when he could manage. Each goodbye broke them, but each reunion stitched them back together. Distance carved their love deeper, teaching them trust and patience. When Daniel finally returned, his career blooming, his heart still tethered to hers, he walked straight into the café where it had all begun. Customers turned as he dropped to one knee, his voice trembling but sure. Emma, when our hearts collided, I found my way back to life. You're my home, my reason, my forever. Will you marry me? Emma's tears fell freely as she whispered, yes. The cafe erupted in applause, strangers cheering, but Emma only saw him. Only felt him. As he slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms, Emma realized she had been wrong all along. Love wasn't meant to hurt. It was meant to heal. And sometimes, it took the collision of two broken hearts to create something whole. Sparkles, thank you so much for listening. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like, share it with someone you love, and don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable stories. Red Heart.